And hello, this is on my own channel. I've never done a live stream before. I don't know how well this is going to work out because I don't exactly have the best internet on the planet, but we're going to run with it and see what happens. I'm also nowhere near the screen on my phone, so I can't exactly see if anybody's here or if anybody's talking to me, but I'll grab the phone in a second. So what I wanted to do, because I haven't had the time to actually sit down and film and edit and go through all the shenanigans of making an update video, I figured I would try to make my life a little bit easier and get some information you guys by just live streaming it, because I know that that'll just end up on the channel after anyways. And I figured it's an interesting opportunity to try out whether or not live streaming actually works on my channel. So let's skip past that nonsense and move on to some other nonsense that I've been dealing with, which is plumbing this system. So one of the things I said I really wanted to try and do when I was doing this system was to go ahead and bend the PVC rather than using a whole bunch of elbows and stuff. Not just because elbows cost extra money and bending PVC would save me money, but also just because aesthetically I thought it looked really cool. In a few systems, one notably is by a member that goes by the username Scorched on nanoreef.com, which is a forum that I've been a part of, oh man, for a really long time. I can't even say, maybe like 10 years, getting close to that, something like that. Anyways, I saw that tank maybe a couple years back or a year ago. I'm not sure when Scorched actually put that system together, but I saw all the bent orange PVC and I thought it looked phenomenal. So I decided I was going to give it a shot with this system. I've got the Frag Future Reef Sump at the bottom, which I'll swing around after and show from the front as well. But if you saw in the last video, it's got purple for the trim and some other components. The body of the sump is gray and it's got an orange frag rack. I've got that special orange and purple nano box LED for the frag part of the Frag Future Reef Sump. And I wanted to marry up the colors of the plumbing. So I've got some purple, I've actually got gray as well, and I've got orange. So I've got some of the components already kind of put together here and bent up into shape. It's all dry fitted right now because as I glue things, I'm sure I'm going to have to make some small adjustments and reheat the pipe and bend it and have a bunch of fun like that. But so what I thought I would do right now is kind of show you where I'm at. I'm going to stick this component where it's supposed to go, and hopefully it's all coming along. It's been an arduous process. I only have about maybe 30 to 45 minutes a day to work on this stuff because I work from home. Most of my time goes into the other projects for Big Al's VOD, so I don't have a lot of time for my own personal stuff, and kids keep me really busy. So night, the kids are in bed, and this is basically the time I have to play around with this stuff, but I also get exhausted and go to bed early because I'm a parent to young kids. So let's see how this goes. So the orange is going to be the return part. I've already kind of got it fitted, and it fits okay. I've got a one-way check valve here that's going to connect to the X-Aqua in and out that Two Little Fishies has. Just got to cut this pipe down and attach it to the barb. Now this side is going to be the drain, the main drain. There's actually going to be two drains. And I've got it so that it bends at the bottom here, and right above it, I'm sure I've got it here. So right above it is a coupling here, a union rather, and the reason I want a union on there is just so if I ever have to take the system apart to clean it or change something, I'm not hacking through the PVC to do it, and I can always remove the plumbing and it's going to stay intact and be easy to work with. So it's going to sit here. I had to make a little, which is one of the frustrating parts about bending PVC. I already had this bent, but it wasn't quite as far as I wanted, so I reheated it and tried to bend it. And in the process, I really made it look kind of squished, and it didn't retain its shape as well as it has, in other bends here. But bends like this are kind of tough to do. But it's just this part is just to kind of bring this off of the tank, and the reason that is because the X-Aqua sits so close to the actual tank itself that the union won't fit. So that kind of just pushes it off a bit and gives it some space to work with. I haven't cut this pipe down, so it's kind of in the way at the moment, but this will be fitted up into there. This pipe goes in. This is going to be the secondary drain, which will allow me to adjust a gate valve, which will be on the main drain to keep the water level in the pipes as close to the top as possible, to cut down on as much noise as I possibly can, because I want this to run relatively silent. And although this is pretty quiet, I'm trying to improve on it. It might not work as intended, but I'm going to give it a shot. There is some concern of there being a bit of an airlock in this if the pipe ever does back up, and the easiest way around that is for the auxiliary drain or backup drain not to go underwater in the sump, so that there's always air that can travel through the pipe. The idea is that you don't ever have water really going through that part of the drain, but if it does happen, not only will there be no airlock to prevent the water from going through the pipe easily, but if it's out of the water in the sump section, when it trickles, I'll be able to hear it and I'll know that it needs to be adjusted, or whatever, that there could even be something caught in the pipe that's preventing it from draining properly. It would have to be after this for that to work effectively, but regardless. So we're getting there, but it's taken a lot of time. A lot more time than I had intended. I know some folks wanted to know how I'm bending the PVC, and there's a couple ways that I do it. Number one, for cutting PVC, I've got this, which is a awesome tool. It's by Milwaukee, and it's just for cutting plastic pipe. I think it'll do up to a 2-inch pipe. I honestly love this thing, and I wish I had it a lot sooner. But at least I've got it now. So what I'm using is just a cheap Tack Life heat gun off of Amazon. I got the model that has just a dial on the back for setting the heat, and it's got 3 settings for the amount of heat that comes out. It heats up super fast, and it does a great job of heating up the pipe. And when you bend pipe or heat up PVC to bend it, so say I'm heating this up, there's 2 ways that when you're heating this up and you go to make a bend, there's 2 ways to prevent it from becoming misshapen. Because if you just heat this up and then bend it, what ends up happening is it kinks just like a hose would. So if you have just a regular piece of tubing for like a canister filter and you bend it, it kinks. The exact same thing happens to this once you heat it up. It basically feels like an extremely hot piece of silicone tubing when it's hot. So one way that I've found that I can do that, which is fairly novel, is I'll grab a piece of rigid reinforced tubing that's, I believe this one's 3/4 inch, and this is a 1-inch pipe, and it actually fits pretty snugly down the center of the pipe. And because this is a reinforced tubing with a hard piece of plastic spiraled through it, it doesn't get misshapen and it doesn't kink. So I'll throw that down the pipe, make the bend, and then remove it. Now, to do that, you heat the pipe first, then you put this through cold and bend the pipe. The problem is if you bend the pipe at a harsh angle, getting this back out is really tough. And in fact, I've, in one spot, really kind of stretched it out, and now it's spaced a little different there because it was in such a tight spot, I had to put so much pressure pulling it out that I kind of messed it up a little bit. So one way I found around that is just to put a little bit of silicone lubricant on the outside of the tubing before you slide it in. That way, even after you bend it, you still have something to help with any friction that's going on inside of the actual pipe. The other way to do it, which is really good as well, is to take the pipe and a couple of caps. You cap one end of the pipe, you fill it with sand. I've actually got a bunch of sand right here. Believe it or not, I'm using Carib Sea sand from an aquarium build I did before, one of my personal tanks. And I kept the sand. I tend to keep substrate for whatever reason, unless it's like a colorful gravel I never intend to use again. But, so you cap it, you fill it with sand, you tap it, it'll settle the sand down, put a little bit more in, and cap. Is that the sand heats up inside of the pipe as well, so that you have a little bit longer to work with it and try to get it into the shape you want before it starts to cool just in the air and re-solidify. And it's actually working really, really well. Better than I thought it would. I'm not going to say I've completely given up on using this method, because this is what I used to originally do this bend, which has flattened right out. And the second time I did it, I tried to use sand. So I think depending on the application and what you're trying to do to the pipe, it might actually make more sense to use something like this. And the other thing is they make actual in PVC pipe if you intend to bend it. They're usually made out of metal. They're pretty heavy duty, but they're also pretty expensive, which is why I'm relying on much cheaper. Ooh, hopefully the connection's not. I'm gonna go around the other side here. All right. So this is what it's looking like on the inside. Down in the sump area, you can see I'm a little bit off right here. And there's another coupling that's gonna go on this side, and then a Spears gate valve right above it. And the pipe will go into that. The pipe's not perfectly in place. I've had to like bend and rebend, and it's been a little bit crazy, but I'm sure I'll get it bang on. I'm sure if I was doing a lot more measurements before I tried to bend it, it might go a little bit smoother, but ultimately doing it by eye hasn't been the worst. I basically got the orange pipe in one shot, which was great. This is just going to be in case I want to add some kind of reactor or something without having another pump go in there. I'm going to oversize the pump a little bit. It's going to be DC as well, and then it will be able to feed anything else I want to throw in there. But we're almost there. It's getting really close, and I'm excited because I'm dying to get water in this thing. Absolutely dying. I'm starting to read your comments here. Oh man, I'm really surprised anybody showed up. I'm really glad. Hey, XD Dade, Adil Sheikh. Man, I hope I'm not butchering that. Long time no see indeed. John, good to see you. Justina, hi. You know what? I will do a video on how I bent the PVC. I'm just not going to do it right now. Only because I just wanted to give you guys an update. And I really need to, I really need to have some time to sit down and do a proper video. Show them off skinny buff muscles. I am. I'm a really thin dude. I've been thin my whole life. I used to go to the gym a lot, and I really didn't gain much weight. It's just tough for me. I eat a ton and nothing happens. John, I want to do more DIY for sure. I'm not. I know that the king of DIY has done a lot less DIY as of late, but Joey's got a lot of other crazy stuff going on. So maybe I'll pick up some of the projects in DIY form that I had intended to do and get some more DIY stuff on the internet. I know there are a lot of great YouTubers out there doing all kinds of stuff, but I'm trying my best with the free time that I've got. And in case nobody's seen it, on my Instagram or anything like that, this LED fixture I've had for so long, since it actually was released. It's probably like 5 or 6 years old now. Happy New Year, Justina. Thank you so much. It's going to be a fun year. 2019 is going to be awesome, and I'm really excited for everything that's going on. So anyways, yeah, this is a fixture. It's really old, and I just decided one day that I was going to rip it apart and dress it up. So it's got a really nice kind of metal flake automotive finish on it. And I've actually got one of the bulbs in it is man, I can't remember the brand, but it's a LED replacement. And it's one of the actinics, just so I could get a little bit of that LED actinic pop, because let's face it, you can't beat the pop of LED. It just, T5 alone just doesn't look the same, and a lot of people will end up putting some kind of, whether it's like the XB LEDs or whatever, the LED actinic bars you can throw on the outside, or marry it with a Kessel or something. No, Joey doesn't do a lot of DIY in general anymore. He actually mentioned on one of his videos. I watch a lot of his videos just because he's got some pretty good content, and his setup is nuts. But you're right, Joey's not really a saltwater guy. He's a big freshwater guy. But I know he's got a saltwater tank with lionfish and stuff, and I think he had intended, and I think he even had a reef at one point, like a drop off. And he had intended to do a couple DIY projects that I think he might end up finishing that would benefit saltwater big time. So I'll see what I can do in the meantime with all this pipe. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be quite on his level. Oh, you have a YouTube channel too. Gaming. What kind of games are you into? What kind of gaming do you do? Yeah, he's got a line fish, and I think it's in a big, John, it's a big Red Sea reefer aquarium that he's got. Um, so, yeah, I'm really hoping Joey does finish up some of those projects. I'm actually hoping that one day I'll be able to collab with him. I don't know if I'm quite on his level yet or on his radar, but I'll reach out to him and see if he wants to get together and do something fun. Oh man, I got a mess to clean up. Anyways, I am going to call it a night because I am exhausted. It's been a hectic couple of days. My son's teething like crazy and he's keeping us up at night. So I don't sleep as much as I should. So I'm going to call it a night and go get that done. Guys, thank you so much for coming and checking out my first live stream. I honestly didn't expect anybody to show up. So that's really awesome. I hope you guys have an awesome evening and I'll be back. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully with a video on bending PVC. I'll do it. I promise I'll do it. All right. Take it easy.